welcome to Yvonne Tesch's session here at the JITA UN conference. We are working towards a world in which all development and application of science and technology contributes to a good future and well-being for the coming generations, finding the others. In this spirit, a few house rules and announcements, maybe for some again. Please mute yourself and turn your video on if possible. If you want to ask a question, please raise your hand and or post it in the chat. Please be aware that the recording will be made available publicly on YouTube and other channels. And towards the end of the session, I will post the upcoming sessions in the thread. So all with said, this said, I would like to welcome Yvonne. Thank you very much for being with us today, Yvonne.
Thanks for the intro. Yeah, should we wait a few more minutes or just really get going?
I would just get going, Yvonne, in the sports spirit. Let's give it a start. Spirit. Okay.
All right. Yeah, it's kind of awkward, so I just imaginary. Yeah. I was like, yeah, the whole sort of headline for this conference was impact, and yeah, I was kind of giving it a thought. I wasn't going to speak about any sort of sustainability topics and so forth, because I also think has been covered quite a lot, and my topics was and always have been advertising and marketing, and I see also there we needed like a big sort of shift in mindset and like a different way of approaching this, just to make the world better for all of us, like when it comes to something stupid and like unnecessary like advertising. So that's my topic. And this is what the stuff they announced. So it's not only the question like what happens with the world, like let's say if we wouldn't have advertising anymore around, what do I do with my business, but also like sort of what's my responsibility as a business and as a product provider in this changing society. And yeah, because we have just this is such a huge topic, obviously, and it's so it's so broad. You can like look at this from like so many different angles. I just collected a few, like really just like to keep like thoughts, kick off some thoughts. It's really not going into incredibly deep detail. I'm just like giving you some ideas and things I've been looking at, in a very, very broad perspective, just so you know. So let's start. Yeah, I love what happened. This is like why this is my opening slide. I love what happened in the European Cup. Is that with Coca-Cola, because obviously we all know the story. Like the stocks dropped massively just with Ronaldo choosing water over Coke. And I just love this as an example because it clearly shows where we are heading, which is like, it's what I call time of awakening. You can call this like the rise of the consumer. You can call this, I have different phrases for this. I'm not sure yet, but this is pretty much the state we're in. Like, and let's dive in and just see what I mean by this. So maybe one sentence. I'll get to the next slide here. To myself, this is me and my doggy. I've been doing marketing and all this stuff since almost 20 years. I started with like the most, I think, annoying form of advertising, which was like text messages on mobile for like €4 like per message. I don't know, it's like incredibly stupid. It was like the very first advertising things, like if you remember all the ringtones and the commercials with the ringtones. I'm so glad this era is over, but this is kind of like the time when I got into the industry. I founded my own company, and I was always around sort of marketing, scaling and growing marketing. We became the third biggest AdWords spender. I was always, as I said, like building up business models that function solely with marketing instead of sales. That's always been my passion. Also, therefore came up with an influencer platform very early on, like way before influencer marketing existed, just because we thought we need to like always explore different ways and opportunities how to like market our products, and social media was already big, but like how to tap into it and like how to get access to users, that wasn't very bing bing wasn't very solidly built up yet. Yeah, and in general, I'm just consulting all sorts of companies for like their various needs. They all usually book me for marketing, but we end up doing pretty much then everything, because marketing is such a core discipline and just works with all the various departments. So yeah, right after our very like spammy mobile ads, this was kind of like reality. There was the early 2000 years as well, and this is pretty much where I think things went down the hill. So it's like the minute the internet sort of digital advertising allowed advertisers do things like this, they went totally overboard with this, and like this is, I think, the root of all evil we have today. Yeah, I have to say. And yeah, I'm just, as I said, like just superficially sort of touching a few things here. So we are aware of all this internet spam, obviously. Also, like wanted to bring in some sort of visions people had in there was like from the movie Minority Report, like 20 years ago, 2002. So it's almost already 20 years ago. So it's like, what was their vision of advertising, how advertising will be in the future? And I'm just sort of again here pitching the idea, do we really think this is how advertising is going to be like? Would the now 20 years more evolved consumer that we have right now would ever allow this? We were already creeped out, I think, back then with this sort of vision, and I'm very happy to see that I don't think this will ever be happening like this. So it's just a few like sort of problems why advertising is ruining its own existence. Yeah, also something I think was very sort of visionary, or like people thought in the 90s, this is how the world is going to be like. I'm very sure and very confident this will not happen. And like a just most recent example, because I've just most recently watched Black Mirror, brilliant series. It's like a world where you would have to pay to skip ads, which is already sort of happening, like in the whole publishing space. But yeah, this is obviously like a more aggressive form where you're just totally surrounded and overwhelmed with ads, and you just need to pay to get rid of it. And this is like what I keep saying. It's like advertising has always been used or like being looked at in the most evil sort of way. So yeah, so instead of serving the consumer and informing the consumer, it's just really being bugging and yeah, putting more pain and pressure on the consumer. So I don't think that has to be like that. So my hypothesis is, why don't we think this differently, and why, yeah, if we speak of a new world sort of order where things are being thought and made differently, this also should be, yeah, this should totally belong to the 20th century and not so much to the years to come. So this is all the bad stuff. I have a few more bad things. So I'm saying like, nah, advertising is always a cat and mouse race, right? Cat and mouse race. So it's like, I do something, you do something against this, which is like, as I said, in 20 years, I've seen it all come and go, which is like email spam, obviously very early on. The retargeting thing that was so popular, and advertisers loved it because it gave them the illusion that their revenue was, or like the advertising spend was well spent, because they thought they would bring in additional revenue. Yeah, for users it was just nothing than pure chasing through the internet. Yeah, same with stupid exit intent banners. It was also very popular at some year. So so many startups were founded providing exit intent banners, which is like none of these sort of chase consumer formats are actually serving anyone. And it's just like really destroying the advertising as it should be. You guys, yeah, really, we can make this an open discussion, right? Just so you know, I'm just saying a few things, but if you feel like, yeah, I'm feeling annoyed by this too, just totally pop in, right? You can just talk to me. Yeah, I also always said, like, you know, I've been talking to, obviously throughout my career years with people that are totally in love with performance marketing. I always said, like, this could also be not the solution to all of our advertising problems. It could be also the root and the cause for like why things went so badly wrong, because again, it just created an illusion sometimes to like transparency, or like if the whole affiliate or like performance marketing industry was just shifting budgets from A to B, but nobody really knows like if that was just the part that we could measure because it was measured by cookies and everything, or, you know, did we have just, wouldn't we have gotten the user in anyway because we have a good product, or because we have friends telling each other how awesome our product is? Yeah, we wouldn't know, because like what we did is like spread cookies throughout the internet and just always thought our funnels and our digital touch points were like the ones that brought in the revenue. But who knows? Yeah, nobody knows like if that's the truth. Yeah, so what happened was like we got ad blockers, we got cookie banners, so all the stuff we've been like advertisers have brought into the game were addressed sooner or later by like anti sort of practices, which is like, you know, people don't want this, people fight this, people try to get rid of it, even sometimes by the help of laws and legal restrictions. Yeah, to protect the consumer, we have to imagine like we are in a world where people get unwanted ads and need to be protected by law to not get them. And that's just what totally twists my mind. How is it like accepted and normal? And, you know, what is that for a world we live in where this cannot be made differently? What also is a big thing that will come up sooner or later. Advertising is like one of the biggest CO2 producers, and yeah, that hasn't even been added to the discussion yet, but it will surely come up, which is another major threat to yeah, how like to the whole banner and everything seen, like how we've seen it already. So Sebastian, welcome back. How's how's the other rooms doing?
No, I was actually all the time here. I'm with you. I'm the exclusive host of this room, and I just wanted to maybe make it for a moment a little bit interactive, as you asked for some questions. My curiosity would go in the direction of what's an example for you for an advertisement that is you used terms like painful, bugging. What's an if you would say that there's advertisement for bad and then there's the advertisement for good? Do you have any examples, or will you come up with examples? Yeah,
my good examples will all be coming up. Bad examples, I think, like 100% everybody in the room probably have their own experiences with bad examples. It's like you shop at one store and like for months and months you see like the same banners over and over. Bräuninger, for example, and I wrote them like 5 emails already. I'm like, guys, I'm like clicking on your ad. Can you just remove it? I don't want to see your ads, because like it keeps me from shopping at your store again, because I'm so annoyed. And then what I also see coming is like the outside digital billboards. It's like nothing, you know, I don't want to be distracted. I walk down the road and like now they replaced like the paper billboards with the digital billboards, which are like moving and like putting my getting my like just to get my attention, and that's just not right. It's like, this is for me painful. Yeah, I want to walk through the city with my dog, with my kid, and I want to like, you know, be in surrounded by trees and by birds, like ideally. Obviously we have cars here, but I don't want to be have like the distraction of like a moving advertising right, you know, in my visual field. That's for me painful and I don't want to see it. And that's most of the time no value in it. Like every message out there that I see on these billboards have zero value for me. It's not because they're not targeted, it's just because it's like stupid messaging. It's like it's just yeah.
It's a really interesting question you open up there. It's and it's a very old question actually. It's 100 years old. I think Heidegger was the first one who opened it up. When is technology leaning against human nature, or nature in general, us being nature? And so really the question that I heard from you as well, what is technically possible, and what serves a human need? So I'm really looking forward to those positive examples where advertisement serves human needs.
This is why I also call this the awakening, because as I said, it has like so many angles to discuss this topic. Yeah, I would totally go also down the road, like what's the whole, you know, if technical is not serving us, or like it should serve us, and it's like not at the moment. So this is, you're totally right. This is a very important discussion to this. So I'm just trying to keep this a little bit for our audience in terms of like, for like real problems, real advertising, real brands, but like I totally see like we live in a much more conscious world, which is, oh, that's actually my next slide. So I call this the conscious revolution. Yeah, and if you really bring this down to a level like from these whole fourth thinkers of our century, which is Harari and all these people, and they say we have like a different stages of society where like we have, you know, the cognitive revolution, I think he says, and the scientific revolution. I think we're heading to the next stage, which is for me like a more incredibly conscious revolution. And you know, we have a product here on this image, which is not only like how we consume advertising, it's all like how we consume in general, what products we consume, and like everything we do in life right now is like being questioned. It's like at stake. It's like, do I need to travel, yes or no? Do I need to travel long distance? Can I just you know, everything is at stake right now. So that's why I say we have like a huge moment of awakening, and COVID really just like even accelerated this. So yeah, and now's the big question: how in a world like this would we still be able to bring our brand across, or like our product across? And this is sort of like, you know, now we come to the actual sort of at least trying to answer this. And now I think it's the part where we can also make this definitely more interactive, because I cannot obviously clearly answer this, right? I'm just making suggestions. If you guys feel like you can provide ideas or add questions, totally welcome, because as I said, it's very revolutionary, I think. So, and then, yeah, pretty much bringing this back to very, very like basic nature of why do we exist in one economy at all? You know, I just don't want to make this too deep and too detailed, but I'm just like, when I ask myself questions like this, I want to like find out like what's the root of all this? Why do we advertise at all? Yeah, why at all do we live in like an economy like this? Yeah, why do we need to consume? Why do we need to tell each other what to consume? So yeah, this is for me also part of the story, also part of something we have to look at. So what I came across, one of my spiritual thinkers, they always say like, in our modern economy, it's always about like being with each other, interacting with each other. You know, nothing would be possible if it would just be me on the planet. So, you know, these stupid I don't know, marketers or like big, let's say speakers or whatsoever, they always say like data first or customers king, blah, blah, blah. I cannot hear this anymore. my assumption is it's like, it all comes down to like people and interaction. Yeah. And I don't want to make this customer as king. It's like person is king, and like the product itself is super important. It's like, if it's not serving anyone and it's not serving other people, it's not, shouldn't be even there. Like, a bit radical maybe, but sometimes I've been approached by companies. They want me to consult them, and then they present me with a product, and this makes me furious, which is like not serving anyone. It's just, yeah, I don't want to go into deep into this, but like it would massively help if we as companies or businesses or like product producers would just really get back to the questions, why are we doing this at all? And if you bring this to the advertisement discussion level, it's obviously like, what's the purpose of advertisement? It's just communicating. Yeah? What do I do? Why do I do it? And like, you know, I'm talking to my customer. So this is, for example, a good example. So, you know, I hate to like praise Google, but some things they're just still like top notch. And right now they have a very good campaign, which is like bring back the purpose of Google. Like Google is not, yeah, just really whatever they communicate. They wouldn't bother me with like discount banners or with like pop-ups, which is like Google is the #1 search engine. This is not their messaging. The messaging is like, I'm here for you. I'm solving a very specific problem. And they do it in a very elegant way. Yeah, it's like not only the formats they choose, also obviously the messaging they choose. So this, for example, popped up on my research. I like that a lot. Yeah, and now we get a little bit sort of, I don't want to say chaotic. I'm just throwing in a few different ideas and angles, as I said before, because I've been thinking about all this for years, and it's been influencing my business models. So this is all different approaches. So one thing I'm also very keen on discussing maybe with you guys, it's like we have these triangle between like the user, the advertiser, and whoever is like our advertiser platform. And what we've seen in the past is like you know, like the big blue arrows you see here, it's like the flow of money always just goes in like one direction, and it's like always away from the user, which is actually providing the value. The user provides is the one thing that actually everything should circle around, and the one party that provides time, attention, loyalty, content, like in case of Instagram, for example. And yeah, instead of including him in this ecosystem, in this universe, he's always just being sort of abused, yeah, just to say it very harshly. So we've seen now tendencies from like companies that understood that this needs to have like a sort of a shift of mind. For example, Twitter started to give back to their most valuable contributors, or Spotify. So we see tendencies already where big companies start to give back to their users and their value providers. And I think this could be one of the core sort of ways of future advertising be, or like, let's say, keep the users in your universe. It's like constantly appreciating them. It's like really, I see you, I value you, I give back to you. So this could be obviously very obviously with remote reward programs and loyalty programs, which I totally believe in. But this could be also with micro payments, just the other way around. Yeah, imagine a world or a product where people are rewarded for providing content. So it's like, imagine the next Instagram could be like a platform which is giving back to the user. You know, when Facebook gets 160 advertising dollar a user a month, I think a month, why not give them like 10% of this money back to the user in terms of, I don't know, micropayments or whatsoever. So yeah, that's for me a very interesting strategy and a very disruptive. Could be, from my perspective, replace advertising in total. So it's really just including the user and all this. Yeah, and this raises obviously a lot of questions and a lot of possibilities and a lot of things, but it's just like one way of you know, solving this.
How would it be organized, Yvonne? Such a model.
I'm glad you asked. I'm not going to advertise any of my products, but we're kind of building or thinking of something like this already. So it's like in a universe of crypto, obviously, that's super easy. You know, you have like micro payments and transactions, and like nowadays efficient and possible technically, which it wasn't before. But also like imagine you have sort of like an API layer, like with Zapier, you know, this platform where you have like always action triggers. So it could be like for any value the user creates, which could be I load up a picture, I log in regularly, I invited my friend, I commented, like everything that's sort of creating value for the platform or for the advertiser. I share my data, I share my location, all the stuff that's just been taken away right now from the user. You could like approve and like, well, I allow you to track my location, and for that, please pay me for this, or give me your share of your advertising dollars. So very, very practical.
Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense to move from a subconscious data consumer to a conscious data producer, actually, and hence I mean, it obviously needs a literate consumer, but what it resonates with is the term of data sovereignty and some of the work that Berners-Lee is doing with Solid, with his startup. I believe he started 2 or 3 years ago with his Solid server platform, exactly supporting that. So really fascinating idea you're developing that, Yvonne.
Yeah, I love that idea also because I really truly always believed in like the people and not, you know, the big platforms. So I really want to, this is like democratizing this whole advertising space, right? And we see like a few products like this, as I said before, like the Brave browser, for example, would highly recommend this browser to our listeners, which is like every time you see banners or you like, yeah, you are being rewarded while browsing the internet and just being penetrated with banners. That's just also very concrete example for this. Yeah, so this could totally turn things around. And then it's also like acknowledging that the user is not stupid, right? It's just also acknowledging, hey, you are, we don't rip you off. Yeah, we don't think you're stupid. You will really make you part of this conversation. So what else do I have here? Just maybe.
There's a question from Ahmed. Ahmed, you're free to unmute yourself and ask the question yourself. Otherwise, just I'll just read it. If you want me to read it, just do a thumbs up and I'll just read it, whatever you prefer, Ahmed. Okay, you want me to read it. Okay. First of all, a compliment, Yvonne. Interesting ideas. I'm wondering, says Ahmed, wouldn't platforms paying users a share of advertisement encourage more spam and superficial advertisement? We need improving the flow of money, but in correlation with flow of value as well. So there's quantity and quality here as I read it.
Totally, but like in general, it raises, or like the question behind this is like, what is advertising? What is advertising in a core, like at a core? So I don't buy this whole advertising shit, which is like, we are the best. Yeah, my soap is making you whiter than the other ones, or my food is making you more healthy than the other ones, or you know what I mean? So like we have to also like discuss what the messaging is, or like what is advertising itself. So if advertising is like, let's see, yeah. So if I provide you with my location and I get like a very hyper local, really relevant sort of tip for me, yeah, because I did this. This is obviously like highly related to each other. So you're right, yeah, flow of value, flow of money has to sort of correlate, but like I really want to make people think in general, like how could advertisement look at all? And does it really have to be like the banner? Does it have to be like a messaging? Or can it be other things? And that's, yeah, and part of my next slide as well. So maybe give you more creative ideas about that as well.
I have maybe one provocative question in between. Would you actually ban certain types of advertisement?
Definitely. I would ban them all if I could. Not provocative, it's very easy. I think it's like, it's the disease of the 21st century, and I think we really need to get rid of it or like massively change it. So for example, we have, what did we say, like I have it somewhere here. So you can just remember 3 to 4 brands per category, and I think there's like 300 categories out there. So in general, if I remember like 3 nail polish brands, let's say, for example, because they're the most dominant in my advertisement space, or like yeah, because they have the most advertising budgets, doesn't mean they're, you know, the ones I should buy, because they're, for example, not sustainable, not local, not even the best quality. Chanel is a very good example for producing incredibly expensive nail polish, but it's like most women I know make a very bad experience with it. I'm just saying, like, we should just really, yeah, like brands will not like this because they will have to give away their market share to more niche brands, but that's happening anyway. So you can either fight it or just go with the flow, right? Or like come up with niche brands yourself, or with like more diversified products.
There's one brand that turned 100 just now, and that is Braun Electrodomestics. And there's one very interesting twist in the story of Braun, where actually the lead designer of Braun left the company, who is Dieter Rams, who is also kind of like the Spiritus Rector for all of Apple designs. And he left because it was sold to an investment fund. And instead of his mantra, less but better, it was more but shittier. So I think there's a direct correlation there where advertisement may just amplify the soullessness of a brand potentially.
Yeah, that's also a very good statement, I think. Very, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
And no, I just wanted to share that maybe for some who can't relate to Chanel and nail polish as much. That just provoked my thought of giving that example of Braun as a very recent one, when maybe a company, likewise as you said, a Chanel brand has maybe lost its original purpose in a way, without knowing much about the Chanel brand, to be honest with you.
That's what, you know, was my point earlier. It's like really rethink what was my purpose and where am I serving my customers, like for real, not for fake, like for real. And nail polish is my topic right now, because like a nail polish brand approached me. It wasn't Chanel, but it was like a smaller indie brand. But also their investor structure was obviously like, how did you just phrase this? Like more money, like less. It was bringing it down to, they didn't care about women, they didn't care about sustainability, they didn't have no clue about beauty. They were just like, we're just following our playbook, like words like this make me puke, and we're just gonna roll this out the market, sell it within 24 months, and that's it. I'm like, this is not providing value to anyone. And this probably the drama, or like the type of advertisement, they're like then the most aggressive and the most visible, and then like you said, like it's amplifying the wrong business models. And yeah, I think at some point consumers will, or like users will identify this, when this be able to make a distinction between these kinds of brands and like honest, authentic, founder owned brands, or even community owned brands.
Yeah, it's an interesting term you throw in here, the community, because what I heard earlier is I believe I heard from you connecting products. So and you used the phrase in the sense that maybe advertisement is a call to action, and advertising is void a little bit of the other, because there is the sheer monetary that I add as I contribute as an action. But action, and that differentiates us from machines, is a machine can act on itself. Humans always need the other. So what I heard from you is, how do we get that other back into advertisement, maybe without banning it, without, so just as a reflection, Yvonne.
Yeah, and I hope we'll keep living in a world where people are still relevant. So
absolutely, yeah.
Our job to make that happen. Let me skip these. So it's kind of like, maybe this maybe summarizes it. Yeah, just we have just a different type of consumer, and in terms like, instead of thinking they're all stupid and they're just like the pigs I can like feed and then they give me anything they want. That's, I think these days are hopefully over, and I see that them being over. So I should rather start working with them, which is like when I started my influencer platform very early on, that's what I said, like it exploded on the user side. Users were like valuing it so much. We had like hyper growth within a very short amount of time, because they were like, oh, finally we have like a way of participating in this. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, it went totally viral just because we included them. It's like another example. Yeah, it's but if I hear now sort of like influencer platforms that came after us, they were again not democratizing things. They were again like excluding things. And was again like holding a product in front of the consumer. It's nothing else than a stupid pop-up banner, which is like, this is an awesome product, please buy it. This is not how communication really works. So yeah, anyway, rethink how. This is also one of my examples I really like to raise all the time. So this could be an open question also, get everybody else involved too. It's like, I always put this in front of my marketing teams and like, why do you think an airport would roll out carpets in an airport situation where it's like very, very dirty? Obviously it's hard to clean, it financially doesn't make sense. Why would a airport worry about a carpet? So open question.
Ahmed, you have an hypothesis why what carpets serve for? I think Ahmed is writing something. I'll just chip in with a thought here.
I'm just trying to see the chat here too. It's like in 3 screens and like
yeah, there's looks like race lines. Ahmed says that's an interesting observation, and it might be contrary to the intent of the spatial marketing agency, right, Yvonne?
Yeah, finally, it's really intended to do the opposite of race lines. It's actually supposed to like slow people down.
Yeah.
And like giving them a feeling of home and giving like a feeling of comfort, and like really like this very cold and steelish sort of atmosphere of an airport, make it more cozy and comfy. Yeah. So they did this, they did plants, and they did like a little bit of daylight. And voila, they raised like increased revenues from these stores surrounding this area by like over 10-15%.
Yeah.
So I'm like, instead of doing advertising just solely like, this is my discount, this is my product, please buy, you can also rethink the whole thing, like rethink, like go total different other ways. And yeah, not maximizing profit. Is really, if you focus on consumer and focus on like a good experience, and this is what everybody keeps saying, but this is a very concrete example how to do it. Just make it really like a nice experience, and then you win anyway.
Which might be a broader question, right? I mean, there's a duty free there. The one big duty free German duty free brand I know is Heinemann, and Heinemann is paying big money to rent these spaces in airports. It's very, very expensive to rent there. But the question that I take from what you've shared with us is basically what would Heinemann ask from a traveler more than just the money, just the purchase? So where's the conversation, the communication bit in that transaction? Is that the type of question you would ask, Yvonne?
No, I use this example usually the other way around, but this is also an interesting thought. I always say to my marketing teams, it's like, how can you make a website which is also very cold and white and steelish sort of look? Like, how can you make people feel like home? Yeah, how can you increase their sort of comfort zone to make them like us more, to make them stay more with us, to make them feel comfortable spending money with us? This is all serving the user instead of fighting against the user. you know, just use these sort of concepts from the real world and like adapt it to the digital world, because obviously like a lot of things will happen also digitally in the future. I'm saying instead of giving them the 5th discount banner, just think of how do you make them stay, or how do you not cheat on them, just how to give them a more comfy feeling with you. And I also see this, let's check, I'll give you another example of this. So Gorillas, for example, does an excellent job right now, which is like they always give you a feeling of I've just talked to my best friend, or like, I don't know, it's like so personal, it's so individual. I love it. So why would they hear the same thing? Yeah, take the time and write a handwritten note. It's like, sorry, we forgot one of your items. It's like from an economic standpoint, incredibly inefficient, but I think users totally appreciate it, and then they share it on social media and they talk about it to their friends. This is like so much more valuable than the 10 cents or 10-minute time you would save if you would just print it out as a standard postcard, right? So this is, for example, one very smart idea to just translate giving people a good feeling into a digital world, or like a digital product. Obviously, this is not a delivery product, but I mean, you get my point. Just focus on the right side, like the postcard.
It's
also
totally,
like,
it's totally beautiful, and yet you think about the greater picture there on what gorilla is in the headlines in Germany. I don't know, Ahmed. I don't know where you're located, but it's a well-funded operating in some German cities delivery startup, Gorillas, and they have been quite under the weather with their employee policies, and have endured some very public, well, what would you say, negative PR. And me, for instance, I've never seen this, so this is a first for me, Yvonne, to see this from Gorilla. Yeah, it's.
Gorillas, for example, makes an excellent job, like with advertising in general. You don't see discount banners, you don't see pop-ups, you don't see like unwanted ads.
Yeah.
I've been like shopping with them constantly, so I should see retargeting ads all over the place, like in the normal universe. But they don't do this, obviously intentionally, because otherwise I would see them.
Yeah.
And they don't do this outside. Like they don't do anything annoying. Even if you just look at the riders, I just love Gorillas, and we can discuss this whole negative press they have right now, because it's totally not fair. But
I'm sure there's another side to the medallion. I just wanted to give the whole picture to Ahmed, potentially.
If you look at these two, for example, right? The right one is like the annoying pop-up banner in your face. I don't want you. This is just distracting me. Leave me alone. And the other one is like intentionally they sent their riders with black clothes, because the founder said, and I love him for that, it's like, they are not my advertising space. He really said something like that. They're my brand ambassadors. And that's just such a shift of mind. Yeah, I love that, and I totally appreciate him for that. So he does so many things so incredibly well. So should definitely celebrate him for that. So yeah, and it's just these small little things, like, you know, I hate Lieferando, never ordered there, because, for example, I sit in a restaurant, I want to just enjoy my food, and they're just constantly popping up orange everywhere. It's like, this is the pain part, yeah, the annoying part. It's just not necessary. So yeah, this is a how example. Also the left side, very interesting. So what they did is also include the community. You know, people talk to each other all the time with Gorillas. This is like so much more valuable than a stupid banner somewhere. It's like, if I tell my friends, and this is what I've been telling all of my clients on a regular basis. It's like, you know, land and expand, like find your peer group that is like your fans, like your total fans, your total loyal, most loyal and most valuable customers, and then let them do the job for you. Incredibly more powerful than stupid banners. And yeah, also, I mean, obviously we have, as I said, crypto space gives us a whole new set of ideas. So I really just started like a year ago looking into this whole crypto space, but there's like so much more really disruptive concepts, even like how data is, zero knowledge. You already said that before, is like one thing, obviously, but if you like even outsource the machine logic or anything to the client, that's what one of the protocols do. Instead of giving Facebook the data could remain with the user and still advertisers could access it. There's all sorts of different very disruptive ideas of how to approach the user. And yeah, so I need to learn more about that, but there's very, very incredible ideas. Yeah, as I said, it's like just touching a few topics and giving some ideas of how to make it different. I don't think the banner is the ultimate answer to like approach your customer. I think it should really totally be about like an honest communication, one-on-one, ideally, always personal, like provide a good value, provide a good product, and this is how it should be. And I think as a business, to come back to like our headline, it's also our responsibility, like to not spam the planet with useless products and useless advertisement. And it's like really think back of how's the world supposed to look like, how's the world we want to live in. Yeah, this is why it's so important for me, and this is why I keep talking about it, and this is why I may be writing a book about this, because it's needs to be rethought. It's making me crazy how it's being done right now. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Yvonne. That was I love that passion that I felt, and the evolution you've shared with us from being in the early days of short messages as a means of advertisement, to this utmost penetration, to a more targeted. And what I just wrote down the word respect. It kind of like sits central to me, and what I heard, getting back onto an eye level, onto a human level, and respect the other.
Yeah, also true. Yeah, you like I should watch my stream myself and just take notes of all the stuff you were providing, because I need to write that down too. Like you gave me like a lot of new perspectives too, like a few things I need to think about. Respect is definitely always, like whatever I do, try to always make this my fundamental guidance system. But yeah, you're totally right. It's like respecting the user and respecting that he's not a stupid sort of thing to betray or like take advantage of.
And engage. And what you said about what is the core of communication, or what is the core of being human? It's being able to communicate. And what is good communication? What makes a good conversation that I lead?
Yeah, serving one another.
And where can technology help us? I don't know if there's maybe Ahmed, Abdul just joined for the next session coming up, but we've just had a very inspiring, hello Abdul, very inspiring insight into the death of advertisement as we know it, and been shown new avenues towards a more human, and also I would say planet-centered. Yvonne, you've mentioned CO2 emissions of all that noise that's being created, and basically going back to signal. Is that right, Yvonne?
Yeah, as I said, like we've just touched a few things very like superficially. Like CO2 will definitely be a discussion. It's one of the biggest CO2 how do you say, providers, not adders, you know what I mean?
Emitters, yeah. CO2 emitters.
So it will, once we've covered travel and cars and all this, advertising will definitely be in the news as well. And if you want to be still advertising in the future, imagine a world where you just every advertiser that's been visible like on the internet will then be like hated or how do you call blamed for doing advertising at all. This could also happen, right? In worst case scenario. It's like, why do you pollute our planet with stupid digital advertising I don't want to see anyway?
Yeah, again, there's like so many thoughts that pop up also in, you know, looking back to 1.5 years of a pandemic. What has that done to the individual? To what degree social media has helped? How is social media connected to advertisement? What's the systemic view? What purpose does each serve? You've been so central on the term of purpose and brands going back to purpose. So Yvonne, if there's no more questions from Ahmed or any quick reflections from Abdo, I would thank you at this point for being a great sport of sharing your passion, and happy to be in touch and learn more, and hopefully to be able to hold that book in my hands at some point, and
So back to the box.
back to the box. Yvonne, thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for hosting. It was nice and nice meeting you. And cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Listening in. Bye.
Bye.